We're going to be spending the rest of this hour talking with a bunch more filmmakers featured at the Wisconsin Film Festival. But first up, we're going to do this film. I can't remember what his name was. This guy, he was a quarterback. Brett something. Oh, I can't remember his name. Not Aaron Rodgers. Brett. I can't remember his name. I think it's Brett Favre. Brett Favre.
Oh, really?
Brett Favre. Yeah, and the film's called The Last Day of Lambeau. We're going to check out that and talk to the filmmaker in just a minute.
I always felt through this whole ordeal that the fans kind of got left out, quite frankly. That Brett Favre did what was best for him, and the Packers did what was best for them. And I don't think anybody really considered how the fans felt about all of this.
I think Ted Thompson was hoping that the situation would go away.
The Packers they just wanted to take the high road the whole time, and they didn't want to fight back, and they didn't say anything. They knew this guy's legendary status in Green Bay, so they just kept quiet. And by doing that, they lost the PR battle time after time after time.
So this is now at the height of Favre mania in Packer Nation. There are people marching outside Lambeau Field with banners, you know, talking about bring Brett Favre back. The Press-Gazette is being inundated with hundreds of letters every day about people, why is Ted Thompson trying to run Brett Favre out of town? The next day, a member of the Packers PR department calls one member of each paper to go and talk with Ted Thompson.
I want to say it was in a conference room that's located near Mike McCarthy and Ted Thompson's office, and McCarthy was there and Thompson was there, and they had very detailed notes. They were very prepared to talk about this.
And that was the only time I've ever seen a sort of humanity behind the mask of Ted Thompson. He puts on this aura as though he's never going to show you any emotion. He's never going to reveal anything about his thinking. And that was the one time where you could physically see, it was tangible, that there was a pain on Ted Thompson's face, that there was a confusion, that there was a hurt. And it's not the pain Ted Thompson's the victim here, but he didn't know what to do. How do you tell the greatest player in Packers history that we're not going to bring you back, but we also are not going to release you?
A clip from Last Days of Lambeau, director Michael Neelsen. First, for people who don't know, or people don't think before Aaron Rodgers, what is this film about? Like, take us back to that minute of what is this film about? What happened?
Well, it's about people and their heroes, and more specifically, sports fans and their heroes. You know, I've always been fascinated by kind of relationships that don't necessarily make a whole lot of sense, and the relationship that fans have with their icons has always kind of fascinated me, because I am a fan. I'm a diehard Packers fan. Always been my whole life. And when the whole Brett Favre separation from the Packers was happening in 2008 through 2010, I wanted to understand a bit more of why I felt so strongly about it, even though I had no stake in it, really, other than a fan.
So, okay, that's fine. I get that. I felt the same way. But you did something I didn't do. You started collecting, I would assume, footage and started making a film, like, right then. Some of these interviews are done right at the time, right? Right.
Well, we started filming the week before his last game at Lambeau Field on October 24th, 2010, as a Viking.
So you knew, of course we all knew, I guess, in some ways, but you knew this was going to be a big deal. Did you know it was going to be drug out as much as it did?
Well, no, not at the time.
Of course not.
You know, I actually don't know that anyone, you know, we knew it was going to be his last game at Lambeau Field ever, and that just, a lot of Packers fans and Wisconsinites were very ready to kind of say, oh, Brett didn't mean anything to me, you know, kind of that defense mechanism, you know, when they felt so strongly about it. And I felt like a lot of people didn't acknowledge throughout the media or even personally just how significant this was. This was the last time he was going to take a snap of any kind at Lambeau Field. And that's kind of significant after, you know, 20 years. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Your film is obviously going to be popular in this state. And it's going to be at the Wisconsin Film Festival, hugely popular. Everybody wants to see it. Everybody wants to see it. Are you a little nervous about expectations or what people are thinking about this film? They don't know what the film's about. They know it's about Brett Favre, Last Day of Brett Favre. I'm going to see it.
I actually made the mistake of going on some message boards the last couple of days, and from both sides, there are people who are totally supportive and people who think this should have never been made. And the idea of, like, you know, why do we need to spend one more second on this guy? This is, you know, totally unnecessary. We're over it. But I think their vehement reaction is kind of my point.
Yeah, right,
you do feel strongly about this. You know.
What did you learn? This is a film about us and our heroes, and you have a hero, and happens to be this guy the film's about, and I liked him too. And of course, now suddenly our hero's been replaced quite easily. I was so surprised for myself to another quarterback who I now love, and now is my hero. Like, I often think all the time. I don't know why I do. Like, I remember when Aaron Rodgers won the Super Bowl. Like, Brett Favre must feel bad.
Yeah.
Like, it was like my first thought, and then I felt Aaron Rodgers must feel good. But I'm like, well, how does Brett Favre feel? For some reason, back in my mind, like you must be considering him. Like he certainly hasn't seen this film.
Who, Brett?
Yeah.
He should know about it. I've contacted his agent, but we haven't heard anything. No. But I'm more interested in the fan reaction because if you have, you know, a lot of Packers fans are very quick now to say, you know, Aaron Rodgers is better immediately.
Right.
Well, if Aaron Rodgers were to go to the Minnesota Vikings next season, people would be upset. I don't think it'd be quite the same thing. We can't dismiss the fact that this guy meant something to Wisconsin. He was more than a football player. Aaron Rodgers has made a concerted effort to not be Brett Favre, to not live his life in public. Brett, for better or worse, was totally a public figure, and he would be on the Mount Rushmore of Wisconsin, sports or not sports, at the time. And
yeah, I would have voted for him to go on.
Yeah, and so it's the idea that people are so quick to kind of dismiss him now, I think, is a defense mechanism. They're still feeling
it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting. Well, thank you for joining us. I'm really looking forward to seeing it because I like Brett Favre. Thank you very much. And coming up next, we have the film Glue Man from writer and director Alex Pickett. And first, we're going to see a great clip from it, and then we'll talk to him.